Let's dive into one of the most tempting ideas in the entire business world, the perfect growth playbook. You know, that one magic document, that final strategy that's just going to guarantee success. But what if I told you that chasing that very playbook is probably the biggest thing holding you back?
And of course they do. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? Who wouldn't want a guaranteed set of steps to get to the top? In a world that's constantly changing, where the pressure is always on, a clear roadmap, well, it feels like the ultimate safety net. It's a promise of a clear path right through all the chaos.
But this is where we hit the core conflict. On one hand, you have the promise of the playbook, predictability, control, and safety. But the reality? Well, it's often the exact opposite. A rigid playbook gives you a false sense of comfort, and that makes you inflexible. And here is the most dangerous part. It can make you completely blind to the very changes you need to see to survive. And here is the really uncomfortable truth. The moment a strategy gets stamped as a proven playbook, it's already on its way to being obsolete. Think about it. The market conditions, the way your audience behaves, the competitive landscape, all the things that made it work in the first place, they've already started to shift.
So, this brings us to what we call the playbook fallacy. And this isn't just some abstract theory. It is a very practical, very real problem for anyone trying to grow a business today. So let's break down why even the most brilliant plans seem to expire faster than a carton of milk these days.
I mean, just think about the pace of everything. It's accelerated like crazy. A tactic that was an absolute game changer last quarter can completely flatline this quarter. You've got AI rewriting the rules, new competitors popping up overnight, and customer attention is, well, it's a moving target, to say the least.
And this gets to something we all say we want: best practices. It sounds so safe, doesn't it? So smart, but it's often a trap. The second a strategy becomes a best practice, it becomes a signal to stop testing, to stop questioning, and most importantly, to stop listening to what the market is telling you right now.
And this little timeline just illustrates it perfectly. So picture this. You crack a brilliant lead gen formula. Month 1, incredible. The metrics are amazing, the message is landing. But by month 2, performance starts to dip. Maybe your competitors have copied you, or maybe the audience is just tired of the message. Your costs start to creep up, and by month 3, it's over. The campaign is dead. The market just moved on.
Now, this is the key insight right here. The strategy wasn't flawed from the start. It was a good idea. The problem was the belief that it was a permanent solution. So the failure wasn't in the plan itself, but in treating it like some finished document that you carve into stone instead of a starting point.
Okay, so if static, finished playbooks are the problem, what's the answer? Well, we have to shift our thinking entirely. We need to move towards building what we call living systems. These are dynamic frameworks that are actually designed for change.
Let's put these two ideas side by side, because the difference is huge. A playbook tries to give a single, fixed answer to a constantly moving question. It's all about doing the same thing over and over again. A living system, on the other hand, is built from the ground up to evolve with new information. Its goal isn't perfect repetition. Its goal is rapid adaptation.
So let's get a little more specific. What is a living system? Well, it's not chaos. It is iteration with direction. It's a structured way to test, to learn, and to respond to the signals that the market is sending you. The ultimate prize here isn't consistency just for the sake of it. It's responsiveness that keeps you relevant.
You know, this requires a total flip in your mindset. You have to stop asking, are we following the plan? And you have to start asking, have we built a system that can survive and maybe even thrive when the original plan inevitably breaks? Okay, so this all sounds great, but how do you actually build one of these things? Well, it really comes down to 4 essential pillars. Think of these as the engine that powers an adaptive growth system.
First up, clear objectives. And I'm not talking about vanity metrics like website traffic or the number of clicks. We've got to dig deeper. Ask the real questions. What specific customer behaviors actually predict long-term revenue or retention? Is it making a second purchase? Is it adopting a key feature? You have to tie every single action back to real business impact, not just some number on a dashboard.
Pillar number 2 is all about information flow. In most companies, data flows one way, up. But in a living system, it absolutely has to be a two-way street. The insights from your people on the front lines, sales, marketing, customer support, that stuff needs to get to leadership, and it needs to get there fast. And then leadership's job is to push context back down,
not just commands, so the team understands the why behind every strategic shift. Number 3 is a big one. We have to rethink documentation. You have to stop writing playbooks to dictate rigid procedures. Instead, start writing them to capture intelligence. Document why an experiment worked, and just as importantly, document what broke and why it broke. This creates an institutional memory, a real brain for the company, so you're not just repeating tactics, you're building on everything you've learned. And finally, Pillar 4, autonomy with accountability. Now, this isn't about letting everyone just do whatever they want. It's not a free-for-all. It's about creating such a deep, shared understanding of the goals and the context that you can actually trust your team to make smart, independent decisions that all push in the same direction. So building the system is one thing, right? But leading the people inside of it, well, that's a whole other challenge. How do you lead a team when the ground is constantly shifting underneath their feet?
I absolutely love this metaphor. It just perfectly captures this idea of aligned autonomy. Think about a great jazz band, right? Everyone is a virtuoso. They're improvising, they're creating in the moment. But it doesn't just turn into noise because they all share a common structure. They're playing in the same key, they've got the same rhythm.
So how does a leader create that key for the team? You do it by establishing really clear principles that act as anchors. Principles like these give the team a stable foundation. They allow everyone to improvise and adapt because they know they are all playing the same song.
Look, it all comes down to this. Your role as a leader in this kind of environment completely changes. You are no longer the person who has all the answers. Instead, you're the person who provides unwavering clarity on the mission, rich context on the market, and a consistent sense of purpose that guides the entire team through the chaos.
All right, let's bring this all home. In this new reality, the goal isn't to find some perfect plan and just execute it perfectly. The new definition of winning is building the habit of adaptation right into your team's DNA.
This right here, this is the whole thing in a nutshell. The playbook isn't the product. The ability to rewrite it is. Stop obsessing over having the perfect playbook. Start obsessing over building a team that excels at rewriting it over and over and over again. That skill, that is the ultimate competitive advantage.
And that leaves us with one final question for you. In a world that just refuses to stand still, clinging to an old plan is a recipe for being left behind. The real opportunity isn't in finding the old map, it's in taking the pen and drawing a new one every single day. The choice is yours.